Hey, what's up? What's up, my peep from YouTube? Just King Geo in the house. How you guys are doing? I am sorry that I'm a little bit late. So, how you guys doing today? So, I'm gonna get some people come in. This is your host with the most, King Geo. Hope you have a good. I hope you're having a good weekend. I got my results today for the COVID, so we all came out negative. So that's good. So I go back to work tomorrow. Ooh, hope I said something wrong. So today, we're talking about into bicultural relationship, and the reason I want to call it bicultural relationship, and I don't want to call it interracial relationship, or I don't want to call it interracial relationship because I that word is played out. I think that by calling it bicultural relationship, we all know what it means, but also put something different to it because it gives us a perspective of that person's culture instead of the person's race. Um, there are many people who are Chinese and don't go with the Chinese culture. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans that are Puerto Ricans and don't go by the Puerto Rican culture. By the Puerto Rican, Puerto Rican traditions or stuff like that. So when I put biculture, it means that you're dating or you're married to a person, yeah, not just outside, not just outside your race, but also outside of a cultural race. It's totally, it's totally different. What I just said earlier on makes no sense. Well, anyway, so bicultural. When I say that, it brings a lot of things to mind. Me growing up in the South Bronx, there was very few um, interracial relationships. There were very few bicultural relationships. You really saw that in the South Bronx, or even in Brooklyn, or even in Manhattan, or even in Queens. You would never see that in Queens with the Italians. You would never see that in Bronx, in the Brooklyn, like in Bronxville or anything like, or East New York. You wouldn't see that in the Bronx, well, especially the South Bronx. Maybe not even if you go up to Riverdale, where that at that time was all mostly most white and Jewish. You wouldn't see that there. Um, I think the Jewish community nowadays, if you're in the head Yiddish or whatever, they don't let you date outside your own race, which is kind of sad, you know. So what I say this, so nowadays, being that I moved to North Carolina, you see a lot of people dating each other or married to one another. There's blacks, whites, blacks, Hispanics. I don't see that much to blacks, Chinese, but I don't go out that much, so there probably is. But you see a mixture of a lot of blacks and whites. You do see that a lot, and I say to myself, here we are. We're living in 2021, and there's still people who don't accept people who date outside their race, and I find that very naive. You know, when you think that you only can date people from your own race, when you think that you should only date people that if you're black, you should only date black. If you're Puerto Rican or Hispanic, you should date only Hispanic. That if you're French, you're only supposed to date French. I think that mentality is very naive and very childish. I don't care. if you grew up with parents who are like that. That to me doesn't. I don't care about that. But it comes to times where you think for yourself, and it's time that that you can think to yourself, you know what? I don't want to be. I don't want to be the same as parents. I want to be something different. So you see that here in North Carolina, and you see a lot, and you see, like I said, you see a lot of Black and Hispanics dating each other, and I find that I find that cool because they're learning from one. They're learning from one another. Their kids are both Black. I mean, they're both Black and Hispanic, which is a great mix to have, and you get to learn from one another, and that's the beauty of dating outside your own race. That's what I find it interesting. Great coffee, and I find it interesting. So when I see people going, because I've seen people tell their kids, so you can't date a Black, or you can't date a white, you can't date a Black, and I even seen girls say, "Oh, all Black men are the same. All Black men are this. All Black men are that." And I say to myself, wait a minute. That's not true. All Black men are not the same. It's the people you choosing. If you choose yourself a thug, that's what you're gonna get, a thug. If you choose yourself a man that in his past relationship is not never took care of his kids, is not taking care of his kids, what makes you think he's gonna take care of you? So not every Black man is the same, not every white man is the same. They're not the same just because you had a bad relationship. It's the people that you choose to be with. Okay, the people that you choose to be with. So when you're dating, don't if you date someone outside your race, which, like I said before, it's a good thing. Don't think about what other people may think. Think about what you like. Think of what makes you feel good. Because at the end of the day, you have to make yourself happy. Don't say to yourself, "I want to make my mom and dad happy. I want to make my sister happy. I want to make this one happy." No, you got to make you happy, and that's the name of the game. Is making you happy, not nobody else, but you. I had the privilege of dating a Black girl, but she was just too wacko. She really was. She truly was. She was cute, but she was just out there. And I just, with her craziness, and I'm crazy, you crazy, two crazy people together, that's not going to work out. But I've always said, if I was to meet someone that just treats me right, because when you see, look at most of the NBA stars, which is a funny thing, right? Most of the NBA stars, they're Black, they marry white women, right? By most part. Why is that? Ask them, why would they marry a white woman instead of marrying a Black woman? Maybe that's their preference, But there's nothing wrong with that. Then you can ask a Black woman, she go, "Well, he's not a brother, he's a sellout because he's marrying outside his race. He's supposed to be married. He's supposed to be marrying a Black girl. He's marrying a girl that he likes the most. And if it happens to be white, happens to be white. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I'm trying. I have a friend of mine who I met a few months ago, who had the privilege to meet a few months ago here through YouTube. And she's married. She has this bicultural relationship, and I wanted to see her perspective on this. So I'm going to give her a text message. See if she joins our chat here live on stream. And I will put a number up if you guys want to be a part of my channel, so you can talk, you can call. And if you're in a relationship that, if you're in a bicultural relationship or an interracial relationship, and you want to put your experience, let me know. I give you the number. You call in, and you call it through here. You call in, and you tell us how you feel. What he or she does that makes you happy, stuff like that. So because we have to this thing we have to open it, because it's still racism in this country is so ridiculous. I never seen so much racism in any other country than here. You go to some places around the world, they're racist against each other because of political views or because of scientific views. It always happens. It always has to be because of different views or religious views. But nothing. I've never seen nothing so extensive as here in the United States that we hate another human being because of the color of their skin. I never seen that in any other country, but here in the United States. And it's ridiculous. And you may say, well, the United States is bigger or whatever the case, but in reality, not really, because if you go to Italy, there's a lot of black people in Italy because they come from Africa to Italy because it's easier to come to this country, to the United States, going through Italy. How will you stop apologizing? So it's so so you go to England. England has a lot of black people in England. So you cannot say that it's just because the United States or whatever excuse you wish to give the United States. You can't do that. But I've never seen such a divided country like I've seen in the United States, and it's basically always has to be the majority of it is because of race. So when I do see a black guy with a white chick or vice versa, that makes me feel happy because it's two different cultures mixing up with each other. They're finding out different things from each other, and that is the good thing, and that is a good thing to do, you know. But some people just see that, oh no, you cannot date outside your race. That just you're a sellout. You're this and you're that, and that is to me that is ridiculous, and that's something that you should instill in your kids. That's something that you should never tell your kids what you should do, because it comes a time, it's when I was growing up, well, not when I was growing up, when I was raising my daughter. When I was raising my daughter, I raised my daughter alone until the age of 11 years old, 12 years old, and I instilled my values to her, but I instilled my values to her. But at the end of the day, when she turned a certain age, I let her choose. I let her choose. I don't believe in religion. I do like I said, I do believe. Those who know me that I believe in God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So I've taught her to believe in whatever she wants to believe in, not for me to go say, you know what, you have to be a Catholic, or you have to be a Protestant, or you have to be Jehovah's Witness, or you have to be a Muslim, or you have to be this, or you have to be that. No. Chill, and you decide what you want to believe. Not what dad does or what dad believes. It's good to have morals. That yes, it's good to have some of the beliefs that I have to a certain point. But at the end of the day, you have to have your own belief. You have to be your own person, and that's what makes you unique. So if you came to me, hey dad, I married an Australian guy. I married a black guy, or I married this guy, or I met this guy. To me, that would never bother me. As long as she's happy, I'm cool with it. I got ladies. People are harsh when black women date outside their race. I dated outside my race, and people give me the side eye. Yeah, no, it's not 1965, and that's the amazing thing. I just got hooked up with the friend of mine that I told you, she's from Mississippi. She's married to a white guy, and I asked her if she wants to join. So she said yes. So I said the info. So as soon as she pops up, yeah, and it's true, because people see that, and it's like they see like, well, what are you doing with a white guy? What are you doing with this kind of guy? You're supposed to stay in your own race. What the fuck kind of shit? Even in 1965, it didn't matter. It did not matter. So it's like ridiculous to have that perception in your brain and say, I have to date this. I have to date a black guy. Or I have to date a white guy because that's what my parents is going to accept. I dated an Italian girl, and I shit you not, I regret it. Not because she's Italian, I regret what she did, but she ended up she ended up getting an abortion, and I didn't regret that. What I regret, I tell you later, is that she had an abortion because she's Catholic. She was the only girl. She is the only girl in her family. And when I say her family, it's her family. And when she told her mom was okay with it, but not her dad, and she just got an abortion. And I was upset. Not that she had an abortion. I was upset that I was not given the chance to give my point of view. At the end of the day, I was going to support her anyway because it's her body. So she came up to me and said, "Gio, I want to have an abortion because my parents, blah blah blah." I would have said, "You know what? I suggest that you just keep it. But if this is what you want to do, I'm with you. I respect your decisions, and that's it." But that wasn't the case. So, and then I had an encounter with another Italian girl, and she got pregnant, and she was pregnant, and that was my fault, not the pregnancy part. Yeah, it was. But she had told her mom, and her mom threw her out the house, and she didn't tell me she didn't want to throw her out the house. I found out years later, but she did tell me she was pregnant. And then when she told her mom threw her out the house, and she being homeless or whatever she was, she had a miscarriage at 4 months. So when I spoke to her like 20 years later, I asked her, what was it that she had or she was going to have? And she said it was a girl. All I do is girls. So it was like, I was like, just because I'm Puerto Rican, you're not gonna have your daughter have a baby, or you're gonna throw her out the house because she dated outside her race. Now, mind you, this girl is half Italian and half Irish. So it tells you. So whichever was Italian or Irish, I think her mother was Italian because the last name is more Irish. So if you're Italian and you dated an Irishman, and that Irishman gave baby and you kept it, why did you throw your daughter out? Because I'm Puerto Rican, so you don't like Puerto Ricans? So is that it? So I'm like, wow. So I got to find out 20 years later. So I do enjoy when I see. It's like when I go to TikTok sometimes and I see there's a Chinese girl, and her parents are Chinese, but she was born in Puerto Rico. And she gets a lot of flack because a lot of people telling her you're not Puerto Rican. And I tell her, girl, you are Puerto Rican. To me, your parents are Chinese, but you were born and raised in Puerto Rico. And to me, you are Puerto Rican. And it's great to see you that you have Chinese and have Puerto Rican. I know it's born through your blood, but the girl feels Puerto Rican. But that's where she was born. That's where she was raised. That's all she knows. Okay, we got Anastasia. I'm going to add her to the screen. Let me add to screen. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Salutations.
You having wine, huh?
Always.
All right, this is my headphones. Really? Is it good?
Yes.
You're not gonna bug out on me and say Biggie, okay, or something like that. That's Biggie Small. That's Snoop.
That's first of all, that's Biggie. That's not even Snoop Dogg.
That's Snoop Dogg. I know. I went West Coast to East Coast. But it actually tastes good.
Yes. So 19 Crimes is its own label, right? And what it is that there were 19 crimes that could get you sent to the penal colony of Australia. So they have all of these people that are on the bottles that committed these crimes or allegedly committed these crimes and was sent to Australia.
They were sent to Australia, or they committed a crime in Australia?
No, they were sent to, because Australia was a penal colony. more than likely you were gonna die out there anyway.
Right. No, but what I'm asking, they were sent from where?
From England. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So today's topic is I put it bicultural relationship. And being that you're married to a white man,
I am.
I know, no, a very smart white man.
Thank you.
So I wanted to see how did that relationship start? How was it at the beginning? Did you guys get like the third eye? Like you were like, you live in. By the way, she's from Mississippi.
No, I'm from New York.
She's from New York. I'm sorry. She's from Brooklyn.
Thank you.
I'm from the Bronx. And she's from Brooklyn. All right.
Exactly.
So I got Ryu. She's from Canada. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to her, and so she can know a little bit more about you, and then we'll take it from there.
So you want me to start? Okay, so I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, 467 Marion Street between Rockaway and Broadway. You can get there by the J and by the C train, or you can walk to East New York and get the A train from there. I mean the C and then the A train at East New York.
Yeah, you were better walking because once you reach East New York and you're not from there, you were ass out.
Well, with the gentrification the way it is now in New York, I'm unafraid. Trust me. New York
not now, but back in the 80s.
New York doesn't have a smell anymore.
Back in the 80s, you can walk East New York if you weren't from East New York.
I mean, I'm telling you, we did it. I mean, I never had any problems going into East New York because my aunt, she used to work at the post office. So she would take the A train all the time down to 42nd Street. But when I was 14, of course, the crack epidemic was hot and popping, and my mother got caught in that. So what ended up happening, my aunt, she was in the military, and she came and took me to Germany. So I went to Germany for 4 years. I graduated high school, came back to New York, and I was like, nah. I'm sorry?
What high school did you graduate?
You said, why didn't I graduate?
I said, what high school did you graduate?
Frankfurt American High School.
I figured a smart girl like you would have been married at Brooklyn. I mean, would have graduated Brooklyn Tech, Stuyvesant.
No, I just told you at 14, I left. So I wasn't even in the country.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I left to go to Germany with my aunt because she lived in Germany. In Darmstadt, Germany. So I went to school out there. And I graduated from Frankfurt American High School, now closed. I came back to New York and I was like, nope, this is not what I want. And I joined the Army. So 24 years in, I retired in 2018. So Dennis and I actually met in 2012, right?
Who said hello?
And I was, I'm sorry?
Who said hello first?
Huh?
I said, who said hello first?
Oh, let me finish. I'm about to tell you. Okay. So both of us were married at the time. Both of us were married. So when we met each other, and we were actually in school together, and I was not paying attention to him at all. You know, I was like, I wasn't there for that. And he said to me, I asked him, I said, how would you like your coffee? And he said, like I like my women, black and bitter. I said, bruh, that's not the way to go. I don't know which one of your black friends told you that, but try that again.
You say that, right?
Yes, try that again. Wrong answer. And I outranked him. So it was like, sorry, who are you talking to first? Who are you talking to? So over time and over drinks, we ended up getting together. Yeah, that's Patron to be exact. But what ended up happening is, both of us were in relationships that we didn't want to be in. And once we found each other, I mean, it didn't have anything to do with color. It was the fact that he treated me the way I wanted to be treated, and I treated him the way he wanted to be treated. And we've been together ever since.
That's good. But did you ever, living where you are now in Mississippi, did you guys ever get the look like, what are you guys doing together? You guys don't belong together. You're black, she's white. I mean, he's white.
Well, you don't have to wait to go to Mississippi to get looks like that. We've been all over the country together. We've been all over the country.
All right, but but we all know that all over the country's like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the worst place we went together was in LA. Was it LA, maybe, or San Diego? But wherever we went, I forget where we went, and he took me to, it was like a symphony. And I had this nice, elegant dress on. And the lady said, the white lady who was the elevator operator said, "So which part of the show are you in?" Really? So I had no other reason to be there other than to entertain her.
Oh, wow. He actually said that.
Yes. Yes. And then certain restaurants wouldn't serve us. They wouldn't serve us. This is in California now.
And
they wouldn't serve us. And
in 2012 that was 2013?
No, 2020, baby.
2020. Last year.
2020. 2020.
Last year.
Yeah, so that's in 2020. So I don't understand why people think this is so far down the line. I went into what is it called? I went into a dry cleaners. Now, the man was an immigrant. So I came in. I'm gonna answer the question. I saw it.
I saw it.
No, I saw the question earlier. I was just gonna finish what I was gonna say and then talk to Miss Rizu.
I say Rizu as rise.
Rizu?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing about it is, right, he didn't even say anything to me, didn't even acknowledge I came in there. When he came in there, he was like, "Sir, can I help you?" And he said, "Babe, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, he didn't even acknowledge I walked in here. I was waiting for you." So that kind of thing happens all the time. But to answer her question, but why white guys are afraid to approach black women, and a lot of time they stare but won't say anything. I mean, I can't answer that question. All I can say is the iconography that goes along with black women. And with white supremacy, we're always the mean ones. We're always, quote unquote, ghetto, abrasive, or aggressive. So if that's the only iconography you're getting or representation you're getting, then of course they're going to feel some kind of way. White women are always the pinnacle of the beauty standard and the pinnacle of femininity. We are not shown like that. So I think maybe that's some of the reason.
If she's from Canada, you would think it would probably be different. You would think.
No. First of all, Canada has an epidemic of killing black people just like America does. And in Canada, there's a lot of a problem with racism against Native American, not First Nations people out there. There was just a black woman thrown out the window of like a like 20, 30-story building just recently.
Well, those are the things we don't hear here in the United States. Why is I don't hear them?
Yeah, well, I'm Black Lives Matter. So we hear about it all the time. Wow. White supremacy is a global thing. Trust me. What's his name?
I know it's a global thing. It always has been. But it's
the way I see it, it's less pandemic in some places than there is in others. I
mean,
being that I don't live in Canada, I don't hear anything from Canada. I thought it wasn't like that. I mean, I know there's racism everywhere. I'd be naive to think not.
Right. So, with Trudeau, see, a lot of times, depending on what is going on and the demographics, Trudeau was in blackface. They found him like twice in blackface. And he's very vicious when it comes to First Nations people as well.
Did you find it offensive when he did that?
Okay, so this is the thing: white people gone white. It's like the scorpion and the frog. It's in your nature.
Man, that's the story. The scorpion and the frog is in your nature.
Yeah. So if I wasn't offended to the point. I was offended by the fact that we keep believing that just because they can act decent in front of us, that they're not as racist as everybody else. You know.
And the funny thing is that I find it that even after the Floyd, the death of George Floyd, you still have cops racial profiling. You still have cops killing black people, and there's still nothing being done about it.
Well, this is the thing. So this is the thing.
And then they scream
when you are a POW, right? And if you don't act according, you will get killed. And until black people start realizing that, it's always going to be like that. The fact of the matter is that oppression and first of all, freedom has never been given by the oppressor. It has to be taken. So if we think by marching and, to be totally honest, protesting the way we do with Black Lives Matter, the only thing white supremacy, global white supremacy understands is the loss of money or the loss of blood. If you're not doing that.
That is true. I do agree.
So the woman that was killed, it was in Toronto. She was in a Toronto high rise. This happened in 2020. And she was thrown out of the 29th floor.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I didn't even want to think about that.
Yes.
Because she was black, that's all?
Yeah, it was a welfare check from what I understand. And her name was Karosky Piquet. And she died out of a 24-story fall from the balcony. And so they're trying to figure out, what happened. I think what happened was it was shot. It was a welfare check, but then you had something. So there was another killing, Andrew Luku, L-O-K-U in 2015, and DeAndre Campbell, who was fatally shot by police in nearby Brampton in April after the SIU called a domestic situation. So basically with all these situations, it was a welfare check or a mental health issue. And those black people ended up being killed.
Wow.
That's no different than here.
That's true. But you don't see. Well, I don't see it here. So that's why I said I didn't know. I see things of other countries because I have cable, and sometimes I like to see different news from different parts of the world. But I never looked at Canadian news, so I wouldn't know. The thing that I find kind of funny is that as we're talking to this, a few years ago there was a black woman in Florida who did stand her ground.
Yes. Yep.
Her ex-husband, came into the house. She had an order of protection on him.
Yep.
She took the gun, and all she did was shot the
Yep.
ceiling. They gave her 20 years.
Yep.
A white woman did the same thing and got months.
Yep.
Another white guy did the same thing a few months later and just didn't even get charged.
Yep. I mean, this is the thing.
So when you see that, you say, so where does this come to now? Because I mean, we want equality for blacks, right? And when Republicans say stupid stuff that there's an equal amount of white people that die in the hands of black people, which is not true. When they say stupid things like that, and they say, whatever stupidity that comes out of their mouths, they fail to do research and they fail to realize that there are more white people than there are blacks in the United States. So mathematically, it doesn't round out. And when they say
it's called per capita,
black people are more on welfare than whites, they fail to realize that that's not true.
That's not true.
They fail to realize that most people that take government checks are white. Most people that are Section 8 are white.
Yes.
More people on Section 8 are white. Why? Because mathematically, there's more whites than there is blacks. So you're gonna have that. When you have people like you have Candace Owens that she says, killings with black on blacks. She's an idiot. If you live in a community that's all it is black people, who's gonna kill each other? Black. That makes no sense at all. If you live in a white community, there's a black person going on killing that's black on black crime. No, that's gonna be white on white crime. So when you have people talk stupidity like that, and then you have other people believe in that stupidity, that's why they say that most of the Republicans are uneducated, which is true, but they fail to accept that. It's because they don't take the time to research. If they take the time to research, and then maybe they have a neuron or two, but they don't do that. And that's what gets me mad, when you don't do your research. Google is free.
I mean, the thing about it is it's not that they don't do their research. What you got to understand is that there's an apparatus, and all the apparatuses are there to reinforce white supremacy, or I'm going to say white fragility. Because if you were that strong, you would need to do all of that. Or if we were that weak, you would need to do all that. That's like me doing a whole bunch of things to kill ants. I'm not going to do a lot, because guess what? All I need to do is get some fumigator, and be done with it. But I'm not going to put up a wall for ants. I'm not going to go on this pattern of just going killing ants. Why? They're not that significant in my life. So what difference does it make? So then you have to question and look at the sincerity of us even calling it white supremacy, because we know that to be untrue. But at the same time, when you have a situation where the environment that you have lived in for so long, even when you're dealing with your own people, is vicious and death and slavery and no food and disease and uncleanliness, this is how you're going to act. So that's why I say it's in their nature.
Do you think if blacks and Hispanics would have gone into the Capitol on January 6th, things would have been different?
Why are you asking me a question like that? I'm not even going to qualify that way.
I just wanted to see your eyes.
First of all, let me explain something to you. That
the girl that was killed in Canada.
Dave Chappelle. Huh?
I just wanted to show
the article I sent you.
Yeah, I just wanted to show because Ryus is from there, so I just wanted to say, I don't know if you saw it. That's the girl that was killed in Canada.
Yeah.
Wow, she was young.
Yes. She was 29, I think.
29.
29 years. Yeah. She was young.
Did they say whatever happens to the people that pushed her off?
Yeah.
He said they said fell. Okay, how are you gonna fall?
I mean, if you think about it,
a railing, because we're assuming that there's a railing in the balcony.
So the thing about it, I'm gonna answer her question real quick, and then I'm gonna get back to what you said. So she said, Raizu said, how did your husband's family react when they saw you? Were they accepting? So this is the thing. I've only met really one side of my husband's family anyway. And we already talked about certain parts of his family. And it wasn't about them accepting me, whether I accepted them. That's the first thing. And it was, I am not going to bring you into a situation where they're going to say something to you or do something that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, because that's not our job. That's their job to take care of that, if that answers your question. My husband has never put me in a situation where I had to be face to face with one of his family members that was racist, because he's like, I'm not going to do that. You said I dated a white guy a while back in his family. Yeah, but that's my whole thing about that, is that my husband never put me in that position because he cared more about my feelings than his family's reaction to me. So if it was a choice between him going to visit his family and me being around, he was going to be with me.
Well, that's good. At least
that's it.
He knew racist in my family. He didn't want to put you in that position. And that's one thing good. And the other good thing is that he just didn't give a shit whether you liked her, they liked you or not. I like
right.
It matters.
Right. And he also knew that if something like that was going to happen, or like say my kids was around, that I would leave him in a minute. There's not no warming up to us. There's not no, you got to understand they were brought up in a, nope. We're done, because I am not going to accept that.
How do your kids, when they first met Dennis, how were they?
Well, they had met him before. They just didn't know who he was.
Oh, okay.
They just didn't know who he was. But my kids took to him really, really quick. One of the twins, you know, she was still kind of but Dennis is 180 degrees different, not better. So that's not what I'm saying. But he's different than their father, where he has he's very soft-spoken. You know, he's very affectionate with them. You know what I mean? And so it's not like if they want to play games or do certain things, it's just different. You know what I mean? It's not better. It's just different.
Well, that I can see that, because when my mother married my stepfather, there were two different men. You know, mm-hmm. my father just didn't give a shit, as to where my stepdad did. You know, my stepfather never, in the 30-some years, well, actually 40 years that he's been married to my mom, not once raised his hand at me, not once raised his voice at me. Right. He didn't say. I remember him saying, "It's not because I don't love you. It's not because you're not my kid from blood, but that's not my job. You know, you have a father for that. I'm here to back you up. I'm here to support you. But because he has the mentality of that, there are some type of women. There are some women that says, "Don't get like my kid. That's not your kid," and you never want to accept it, because once that happens, if that would happen with me, I would have been like, well, then, you know, what am I doing? I'm not scolding. I'm not telling them anything wrong. But if you don't want me to guide them in the right way, and when I do guide them, just yelling at me, then there's no point in me being here. And that's the way he didn't want to feel out of place.
Okay, so first of all, I have an older child, right? I have never told my ex-husband not to discipline my eldest child, nor have I told my oldest child that she had to call him dad, because she was 12 years old when we got married. If that's what you wanted to do, I totally believe in self-determination and having boundaries. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you do. You understand what I mean? Yeah. Now, if I felt that he was doing too much, it wasn't because you're not her father. It's because you are doing too much. period. Like we have never had that conversation. Just like he has 2 other children before we got married. I never called them kids, my stepchildren. For me, I have 9 children, period. You know, I've never said these are my stepchildren. I've never required them to call me mom either. And his youngest daughter was 5 years old, but I mean, I wasn't a residential parent with her. So how do I expect certain things like that? You know, I'm just, a child is going to adapt to you. It's going to be a natural thing. If you try to force them to do certain things, it's not going to happen. So now with his children, when they met me, you can tell there's a difference in parenting. Not better, just different, right? So like in my house with my mother, you never said what to your mother. So when his son said that to me, it was like, you know, it was an affront. Like, who are you talking to? And I had to tell him, you don't say what to adults. But Dennis said to me, he said, Anna, you're getting mad at him over something he's never been taught. So I had to take myself out of it and be like, you're right. So Stanley says, so under another reaction from his family, you would have left. Hell yeah, lickety split. It is not my job to deal with your family, just like it's not his job to deal with my family and their reaction. It is my job to deal with them. Like my family would say, oh, so you got with a white boy. No, I didn't get with a white boy. I got with a white man. Don't call him that. So a lot of times, I'm sorry?
I said stereotyping.
Well, not even stereotyping. It's just the fact that we childize white people and we adultify Black people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Trayvon Martin was a man, but the guy that shot those 9 people, he was a broken boy. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what that's about. And so, no, he's a grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? So I don't let them say certain things about him. I've dusted off family members for saying certain things about him and I'm like, not because he's more important. It's just a fact. It's not right. You're not going to talk about him like that. You're not going to talk about anybody like that in front of me. I don't care who you are.
That is true.
So Stanley said, so what was the purpose of the companionship? What does that mean? I don't understand how to answer that question. I don't know what that means.
It's like that he's talking like it was past tense.
Right. The fact of the matter is it's not my job to deal with racism. I don't have to deal with that. And if the person that I'm with is allowing certain things, then that shows exactly what I've taught him to think about me. That's black, white, green, or orange.
You should be more woman like you.
You know, I'm not going to, allow. You said, so what was the purpose pertaining? You should, listen, let me tell you something. You should always be able to walk away from somebody. Period. Always. If you are in a relationship where you feel like you can't walk away and they're disrespecting you or something is going on that you're not going to tolerate, you're not in a companionship. You're a slave at that point in time. I'm sorry.
I tell that to my daughter all the time. But she don't.
I'm sorry.
She doesn't listen. I tell her, your relationship is toxic. I tell both of them because the fact that you're young, that doesn't mean anything. But it comes to a point when your relationship, you say to yourself, you know what? This is not working out for me. So if it's not working out for you, then you walk away. You're at an age that you're only 19 years old. You can say, you know what? I still have a whole life ahead of me. This is not the only person that I'm going to meet.
But girls are not taught that. See, that's what you don't understand. No. I'm just saying yes, you're saying certain things. But your daughter is 19 years old. She's talking to friends. She's talking. Let me tell you something about women. Women waste their good years on Rudy Poots. Period. And then when we get to a certain age, after we've been used up and abused, and we start learning, like, wait a minute, hold up, what? That is when you start saying, I am not going to take this bullshit from you or anybody else anymore. So understand that I'm not going to say every woman does it, but most women waste their teens and their 20s and 30s on people whose gene pool should never even go anywhere. But going into a biracial, that shit, what can be expected? Are you crazy? No, it's not expected. No, it's not. I'm sorry, Stanley. And you said you seem to be an alpha woman. Let's be clear about that. That whole alpha and beta, you realize there's no such thing. When they did that study, it was a study on wolves within captivity. Okay? They didn't do it on wolves that was out in the wild. So that whole thing about an alpha and a beta person, that's actually a flawed thing. And you
really
said,
retarded because the other day,
we don't use the word, the R word. Come on.
Okay. All right.
We don't use that.
All right. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
So the other day, I made actually 2 months ago, I made a report on this guy Peterson, whatever. He has a show on YouTube, and he called me a beta, and I said, well, you're calling me a beta just because I'm willing to give the woman the same respect as I would to anybody else, that I would treat the woman the same, that I'm not better than her, she's not better than me, because he was saying that a woman should be in the kitchen, that a woman's only job is to bear babies. And like, I'm sorry, that's not the way I work. I don't see it that way. Maybe you see it that way, but I don't see it that way. And when you talk about, like you said, when you talk about alpha and beta, that's in the animal kingdom.
So this is the thing, right? And I don't think the person Stanley is being, disrespectful. But thank you, sister. Thanks, sis. I appreciate it. This is what I will say to you. Women are taught not to be too big. Women are taught to be nice and to be sweet. You understand what I mean? We're not taught to speak up about what we want and how we want it and what we're not going to take, in boundaries. Men are taught that. Men are raised and women are bred, right?
That is true.
So Stanley, I'm just saying, his name is Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. And they say that women raise their daughters and love their sons. Men, fathers, love their daughters and raise their sons. So that's why the best of both worlds is I'm not saying that a single parent home, I'm not even saying anything like that. I'm just saying whether it's a residential father or a residential man. And like Stanley, I don't think you're being disrespectful at all. That's your opinion. I'm okay with it. And you said, I'm okay with proof to your statement if you have it to back up. Which part about the alpha and the beta?
I think the alpha, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll send that to Giovanni. Trust me, I always have receipts. You see, when Black men want to have a voice, we are considered of being. I'm not considering you disrespectful. I never said you were. But what I'm gonna say to you is when a certain tone is being taken, it's gonna be disrespectful whether it's a white man, black man, or a green man. So I mean, I don't see what you're saying is disrespectful, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, it really is what it is. But Giovanni, what were we talking about earlier? But because I like totally got off track.
We were talking. We were at the Canada thing. No, we weren't talking about the Canada thing. We were talking about.
We were talking about Marissa Alexander. Marissa Alexander is the one that you were talking about. Stand your ground.
Yes.
So again, you know, the thing. This is the thing. Let's be clear about certain things. That in Africa, just like the Native Americans, First Nations people here, it went through a maternal line. Okay, that situation about, you know, a man is above a woman and all of that, that started with European colonization. And the fact of the matter is that that's what they bring with them. A lot of people look at Africa and they're like, oh my God, it's backwards and they are sexist and all this. No, boo. There wasn't a modulated tone in my state. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's words. So, I mean, you can take what you can from it, you know. I mean, I'm cool with it. But Africans, the continental Africans, weren't misogynistic like that. They really honestly weren't. Now you had, of course, you have 54 countries now in Africa because Europeans, including America, chopped it all up and said, I'm taking this part, you take that part, yada, yada, this and the third. But as a whole, on a macro level, Africans weren't misogynistic. So, you know, the way I look at it is that, and let's be clear about having more than one wife. This is the thing about that. When you're talking about marriage, right? Marriage didn't come into recently being about love. Okay? That's why you have brothers and sisters and cousins marrying each other, because it was about keeping it in the family, keeping the money in the family, or whatever the case may be. But we learned that through, you know, mostly through Europeans, that doing those type of things leads to deficiencies and disabilities within, you know, children and people. But at the end of the day, you know, we got to understand that, yeah, love came later. Love was about an economic exchange. What can this person do for me? Or if we're warring factions, now we get married. Now I'm your family now. So love, that whole thing about love coming up, that didn't come up till recently. And the situation being that having more than one wife, that's more about survival than anything. I am not saying I want to engage in a marriage like that. That's not what I'm saying. And neither does my husband. What I'm saying, I understand why they do things like that. And the simple fact of the matter is communal wealth and communal economics.
Makes sense.
I mean, because if you think about it, think about it this way. Say my husband had another wife, right? Say he had another wife, just for us. I mean, the way that works is a situation where I don't want to raise the kids, but she may, and she could stay home with the kids instead of them going to these whitewashed, ethnocentric schools. They're being taught by a family member that loves them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't see anything wrong with it if it's two consensual adults. We understand that this is a contract. Okay? Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin was having a conversation, right? And she said to him, listen, I need you to lie to me like you, and I'm sorry about what I'm about to say, But this is what Nikki Giovanni said. She said, I need you to treat me how you treat that cracker you work for. See, he's happy with you, but you come home and show us the worst side of you that you can't show him. You are skinning and grinning in his face all day long and then come home to me. We need to raise these kids together, and I'll send that to you. But basically, she's saying, look, lie to me like you lied to everybody else. I don't care what you was doing out in the streets. I need you to show me the best side of you. And the fact of the matter is that if it's a situation like that, I need for the people that's involved in my family, for us to show the best side of ourselves to one another. So that goes back to what Stanley is talking about. My husband, regardless of anything, knows we have these kids to raise. We have Black children. My children are Black. We have no children together. So he also knows that I will not allow them to be traumatized by anybody. So when you go about the companionship means that I'm going to love you more than I love myself, and I'm going to do things that I know is beneficial for you.
That is true. I do concur. But like you said too, I'm a type of person that I respect everybody's, how they live and how they don't want to live. I'm not the type of person to say, you know what, that's wrong to do, shouldn't do that. That's not me, because that's if you go like you said, if you go to Africa and you see these tribes and you see whatever they can be, that's the way they live. That's the way that's for them. That's their norm. So, but you have people that say, they shouldn't do that. But that's the way they do it. And like you said, love come later. And if you think about it, it's like the priests don't allow. The church don't allow priests to marry.
Some of them. It depends.
Catholic Church.
It depends. Right.
Well, from what I know, they don't get married because some of the reasons that because back in the days, correct me if I'm wrong, the priest had more money than the church. So when they went to the church, they said you're gonna come to the church, but you can't get married. So this way, because they know that if he gets married and he dies, that goes to the woman. If he dies and he's not married, it goes to the church.
I've done no research on that, but I'll look it up. But it sounds feasible as far as I'm concerned. But you know what? I think that kind of monastic lifestyle comes from the Bible as well. I don't know if it was. I think it was Paul that said, "If you're not married, you shouldn't get married."
Yeah, he did.
I think that was Paul that said,
if you're not married, don't get married. If you're single, stay single.
Right, because God should be the only thing that you are concentrating on. Because anything that brings you away from God is not a good thing. That was his opinion. And so a lot of times with the Bible, we take certain things and it's like, it's not a commandment from God. It's a letter from this person to this person. It's, I think you should, or it's a suggestion. But then you have people that say, oh, no, God said that. And they take it and run with it. So, that's the way I look at it.
I look at the Bible this way. Anyone that knows me, I don't follow religion. When I look at the Bible, I tend to look more at what Jesus said. And I take, like you said, what Paul says, they're all opinions. When it comes to when they say that gay marriage is wrong, when they say that two men or two women shouldn't be together, and that's what the Bible says, I turn and said Jesus never said that. Those were opinions that were said by men. But if you look at it, and if you really want to look at it, if you go back to the Old Testament, when it was Sodom and Gomorrah, the angels came down and they wanted to rape the men who were inside Sodom and Gomorrah. So when the Bible says two men, that homosexuals are not allowed, they're talking about two grown men who are straight and just decide to say, you know what, let's go have sex. That's not normal. Now, two guys or two girls, that's the way they feel. That's the way they feel they were born. There's nothing wrong with that. The Bible in the New Testament says nothing about that. And that's where they get the confusion at. They're always bringing back the Old Testament, but in the New Testament, Jesus never spoke about gays. Jesus never even spoke about abortion. He never spoke anything about that. But people take that and they don't know how to, they don't know how to differentiate religion with state. They always try to bring all these things together. Oh, God didn't say this. Oh, God didn't do this. You shouldn't have an abortion because it's against God. God never said any of that. You're interpreting the Bible through the eyes of another man. Sit down and interpret it your way. That's the way you should interpret it. Every time I put you in, you say something, I'll give it up. Because I just more than I am certain things.
I mean, no, I understand what you're saying. Like I said, so we're talking about biracial or bicultural relationships. Some people feel that having a relationship like that is against God. And they've used the Bible to say, see, this is why you shouldn't be together. Which they don't understand that it wasn't about race. It was about the fact that what religion they were. The Hebrews did not want to accept anybody into their tribe. They believed in strong tribalism. And the thing about it is that the fact of the matter is that, I look at people and, I'm going to tell you, I'm an atheist, and to be totally honest, I don't really say that out loud. But the simple fact of the matter, I also have a degree in pastoral studies and youth ministry. And when I tell people, I say you have to look at what you're reading, not what your pastor told you, not what your grandma told you, not because. If you look at movies and what some of these pastors will tell you, they'll have you thinking that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, which we know she was not a prostitute at all. Look up Pope Gregory I, and you'll see why and where Mary Magdalene's name was besmirched. That's where that comes from. So a lot of these things.
Did she come out the house and said that and they said that she was sleeping with a married man? And then that she should be cast, and then that wasn't Mary Magdalene.
That was not Mary Magdalene. The person that you're talking about was an unnamed woman. If you look in Luke, I'm pretty sure it's Luke. Luke talks about Mary Magdalene. But what I'm saying, though, these are people that are putting iconography out there. Mary Magdalene was never a prostitute. Mary Magdalene, Jesus cured her of demons. I think it was 12 demons or 6 demons. Yeah. It was something to that effect. She never was a prostitute. Never. Simple as that. And Stanley says how family structure sets the tone for the generation of the family. Therefore, the family leaders must lead. I agree with you. Totally. Rizu says some people are a distraction. I agree with you. Totally. She asked, how do we become friends? I think you hit me up to be on your show or something, didn't you?
Who's that?
She asked, how do we become friends?
Oh, we became friends. Yeah, because we were talking. Well, I was talking to oh man, what's this girl? The Anika. Is it Anika? Wait, I got it here. I got it. Wait a minute. Braxton.
And Stanley, Braxton. I appreciate you.
I was talking to Miss Braxton about her daughter, remember?
Andrea
Braxton, yep. That her daughter got killed in Mississippi by a white woman who drove her car. what she did was this is her daughter's here. She got out of the bus, and here in the United States, when the school bus stops, you have to stop behind the school bus. She apparently didn't do that, so the little girl was here in the garage. She skipped from here to here, ran the girl over, and killed her. And she was never. And the white woman was never charged. So when I saw that that news 2 years later, I was in Puerto Rico, I reached out to Andrea Braxton. And as I was talking to her, she said, "Oh, listen, I want you to talk to anesthesia doctor, blah, blah." And that's how we got to know each other. But now she's leaving me, so it's what it is.
No, I'm not leaving you. What are you talking about? We on StreamYard.
No, but you go to another country.
Trust me. Listen, I'm gonna be. No. No, you're good. Trust me, we can StreamYard. We'll talk offline about that, but I'm not.
Yeah, so
Eventually,
that's how we met through Facebook, and through the time actually I've learned in a short period of time, I've learned a lot from this woman. I have. I mean,
so listen, they're having a.
You know how inspirational it is to see you talk the way you do, and I wish more girls or more women would watch my show when you're on it, because you speak with so much passion. You speak the honest truth, and when you don't like something, you tell it the way it is. And a lot of people are disturbed by that when you tell them the truth, you know. And then you tell them,
right.
You know, it is what it is. Take it or you leave it.
And anytime I say something to you, do I not send you receipts?
Yes, you do. Which I appreciate.
Everything that we've been talking about, have I not sent you receipts?
Yes, you have. As we speak, and you've already sent me 3.
Because I don't. The thing about it is, I don't have a reason to lie. What's the point?
Well, you know,
what's the point? I know what I know.
Some people try to lie just to make themselves look good, or they try to convolute the story, so thinking that you don't know what you're talking about, and they be like, "Oh yeah, really, really," and then there are times when they come up to you and they come up and say, "Oh, you look like you're an alpha," and like you're like, really. You came with that. You can't come out with, you're a strong woman. You're determined. You know what you want.
Right. Exactly. And this is the thing. This didn't happen overnight. Like, you see me as this person because you see me now. But if you would have seen me 10 years before, I wasn't the same person I am now. And with another thing is that being in the military, you can't be no, shy violet, because they will step on you, spit you out, and be done with it. You have to be able to assert yourself in such a way. And what I can tell you is that, especially being a Black woman, every time I moved from a different duty station, I had to prove myself all over again every time. I had to prove that I can run better than you. I had to prove that I can and do more push-ups and sit-ups. I had to prove that I had more education, because when we walk through the door, we are not given the benefit of the doubt. Prime example, my ex-husband, him and I was the same MOS, right? They looked at our paperwork and the guy was like, I want him, right? What he didn't know is that I had more education than my husband. I outranked my husband. You know what I mean? But they found out later on, and it was like, well, whatever, that's who you wanted, right? Not taken away from him. That's not what I'm saying. But it was the fact that my PT score was higher than his, my education level was higher than his, but I still was unwanted, period. So, it is what it is. And so they're having a conversation about interracial dating, right? So what I'm gonna say to you is this: an asshole is an asshole. Okay? Assholes come in every color. Assholes come disabled. Assholes come, so the fact of the matter is that when me and my present husband got together, let me explain something. My husband is Dockers and boat shoes, white. Okay? Let's be clear about that. So when they see us come through the door, he's got a collared shirt on, he's got Dockers on and boat shoes, and I'm looking like I just walked out of Wakanda. They're like, where? How did that happen? And it's because we both had standards for who we wanted to be with. I told him, listen, so Stanley wants to talk about trading stocks. Is that what we're
No.
talking about? Or we're talking about biracial?
No, I've had Stanley for a year on my YouTube, and he's been off YouTube. Well, he's been off my channel for 6 months. And we were talking prior to COVID, before I moved here, he was talking about how he likes stocks, how he's going to get his jet. So that's why I told him, have you reached your million yet? He's gonna, and that's right. That's when he said, I'm on my way to get my jet, Gio. So that's his dream of getting a jet. So.
Oh, okay. No, because that's the thing. Like, that's another facet. So, about 2 years ago, I started, and some people say that's not trading, but I started buying stock off of Robinhood. So now I have $20,000 in stocks, and it's so easy. Like some of the stocks that I bought, Gio, they're $10, $4.
That's what I do.
And it's like, it's so easy. And it's like, I think in the Black community, a lot of times we don't have discretional funds, to do that. But my whole thing about it is those $200 sneakers that you bought, you could have bought how many shares in JetBlue? You could have bought how many shares in Ford? You could have bought how many shares in Royal Caribbean?
In whatever.
Because soon enough, in whatever. And so, like for me, I bought stock in Tesla. Tesla's made me $5,000 right about that. Elon Musk, I got Nike stock too, boo. Elon Musk is a jerk. Trust me.
But he's not.
I bought that stock before I knew he was an idiot. But I do ethical stock trading because certain things I'm not gonna be a part of a private prison. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be a part of an organization that are detaining asylum seekers. I forget what the name of the company is, but it's something with a C. But they are the main disgusting company that's locking and housing asylum seekers down at the border. So, I don't do those type of things because I try to look into who the people are, like fracking companies. I won't do that. I won't buy it.
What it is that some of us never were educated. Growing up to school, I always liked stock. I mean, if you would have seen me in my 2 days, I was a nerd. But anyway, that's me. They never taught us about buying a home or saving up money or the stock. Because back in the days, if you were Black or Hispanic, you didn't need to know about the stock.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point.
So we didn't know. So now when I do my YouTube channel, I tell people, don't be afraid to buy your own house. Don't be afraid to do this because a lot of people, Black and Hispanic, they think about when you see a commercial of housing or housing that go to a bank, they always start with a big number. or if you have a house of $300,000, then you put 10%, 20% down. Us as minorities, we say shit, 300,000, 20%. Where the hell am I going to get $60,000 from?
Right.
Now, if you say, you know what, if you say to them, if you tell us, you know, you can get yourself like mine, get yourself a house for $70,000. A program will help you out, and out of pocket you're only paying $500.
Yeah.
That's what I paid for my house, $500
Yes.
out of pocket, and then that's more feasible. And then a person can say, you know what, I can do that. I can do $500. I can do $600.
Yes. But this is the thing. Stanley brought up Neo, right? So I looked it up on Robinhood. So it's $38.80 per share, and he said that it's a competitor to Tesla. So I'm gonna look at it, but $38. Yeah, I read Powernomics, Stanley. I love Dr. Clark Anderson. Trust me, he's amazing. He's the one. Well, according to this, it's $38.80, but Dr. Clark Anderson said he taught me the real definition of racism. And he said it's a competition, because we talked about this one time when I was on your show. It's a competition between groups of people for wealth and power. If you think it's anything other than that, you don't know what white supremacy is about. Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. said the same thing. And you know what, Rizu? I'm the same way. Rich people act poor and poor folk buy. But this is the thing. They're taught to do that. And this is the thing, right? With me and my husband, my present husband right now, right? You got to remember, when he walks out the door, he's given the benefit of the doubt no matter what he has on. Let's be clear about that. He won the lucky vagina contest. He's white, his family was Christian, and he's a heterosexual. Okay? So he won the lucky vagina, you know? But you got to understand, when you have black people, okay, so I'm going to give you a little, I'm not going to say a history lesson, but I'm going to tell you. So do you know who Edward Bernays is?
No.
Okay, so Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, right? Edward Bernays ran the first PR, public relations company. So they would sell cigarettes, right? I'm gonna send you the receipts, babe. I'm gonna send you the receipts.
Well, I don't know about him. Okay? I don't like Sigmund Freud.
No, what I'm saying is, I was in a psychology class. That's where, and it's called, and I'm gonna send you what it's called. It's called The Century of the Self. Okay. So what happened with Edward Bernays is he needed to sell cigarettes. So how do I sell cigarettes? So basically, he took his uncle's work and said, okay, if you have this person that doesn't have this, but you give them something to focus on, right? To think they have that, then guess what? It won't matter if they're not in a position to have that, right? So what he did was, during that time, short hair, the flapper thing was going on. So what did he do? Women's suffrage, all that stuff was going on. He put a flapper, short hair, the little flapper dress, and she's smoking a cigarette. So even that housewife with those 10 kids and the husband that beats her up, you know what? While I'm smoking this cigarette, I got my freedom like she does. Why do car companies put women and alcohol together? Because somewhere in their man's mind, if I get this car, I'm going to get that chick. Well, we know that's a damn lie.
That's true.
But honestly, men make money to get cars to do what?
Get women.
So the thing about it is that when you have a situation with black people, what's the golden calf? I don't want to be treated like a black person. So at least when I'm in this, I can show them that I can afford that, even if I can't. That's simple psychology right there. I mean, I'm going to send you the Century of the Self so you can understand it. And then Reason, what I'm going to tell you is what they did was they got Black artists to be PR people. Who knew about, listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you a story, Gio. I was dating this guy and he bought me, it was Valentine's Day or Christmas. And he bought me some cologne. It was in a tin can with brown packaging around in the inside. And I'm like, what is this cheap stuff, right? So my girlfriend said to me later on, this is after we opened the presents and everything. And she was like, girl, what did so-and-so get you? I was like, girl, he got me this cheap old cologne, Versace cologne. She's like, Versace? I was like, yeah, Versace. She's like, stupid, that's Versace. Before she even said that to me, I didn't even know literally what Versace was. But you know what happened? After I found out it was Versace, I started feeling better. And that meant he cared about me more. And
an expensive gift, huh?
Exactly. And now it's Versace, it smelled better. Think about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You got a point. It's true.
Think about it. When you go to the store and you see the note, you know what I'm talking about in New York, and you go to Key Food and you see that black and white box that say cereal or Loops, and it's the same thing that's in that box that says fruit.
Yeah.
Which one tastes better?
But you know why? Because that's that's a human thought that we think about. If I buy this one, and it's like you said, Versace cost, let's just give an example, $30 at that time for the bottle, and then they give you a bottle that's $5. You're gonna be like, wait, what? Why are you giving me a bottle for $5? You give me, so you gave me this. I feel better because now you're giving me this instead of this. While in actuality, they both have the same thing inside. They both smell the same, but this is Versace. Versace is well known. So if you were, it's like back in the days, motherfucker who had a large, those big ass phones, the white ones, like Miami Vice,
right?
Back in those days, if you had a cell phone, you had a beeper. You were it.
Yes.
So
exactly.
It's
exactly, and that's the thing.
We get accustomed that if a box of cereal is Kellogg's and this is a no-name brand, I'm gonna get Kellogg's. You pay more for, the brand than you are for the cereal because they're both the same. They both taste the same.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, and this is what I say to people is that I sent you Century of the Self Part 1, but there's a bunch of parts to it, right? And the first one is called, I
want to read that Powernomics.
What'd you say? I've read that book before. It's awesome. And the thing about it is what he says is that we're happiness machines. We just want to be happy and get them endorphins going. And it doesn't matter what. Guess what? If I drink, for instance, what's the champagne Dom Perignon, right?
Dom Perignon.
First of all, that stuff is nasty.
I prefer. In my drinking days, I would prefer. You know why it's nasty? In my drinking days, I would have preferred a Coke 45 or a St. Ives over a bottle of Dom Perignon.
But what I'm saying is Dom Perignon, the reason why it's nasty is because it's not aged the way the rich people are eating, giving it to you. They giving you that toilet water stuff.
Yeah, but if you tell someone, well, maybe not now because Dom Perignon is not as famous as it was back in the 80s and 90s. But back in those days, if you gave somebody a bottle of Dom Perignon, they'd be like, "Oh, look at that! I'm drinking myself some Dom. I'm the man. I'm the shit." No, you drink water. That's what you're drinking.
Or some Moet. Like Moet. Why? Who drinks Moet anymore? Are you serious, bro? Who does that?
In the late 90s, they're like, "Oh, I got my girl a bottle of Moet. I got this. Look at that." You're drinking a bottle of Snoop, and it tastes just as good as another bottle of wine. But, you know,
Exactly. It was this one bottle of wine. That bottle of wine was like $5, Gio. And that bottle of wine was so good. But then you got to think about it. Some people say because I don't have a refined palate. So that's why I think the cheap stuff is good, because you're used to drinking cheap stuff. I'm like, okay, roger that. Whatever.
I was never a wine
Okay.
person. I think the wine to me, I don't know. It never attracted me. I was always a beer person. And
I like beer.
And when I went to Puerto Rico, all I drank was rum, because rum was cheaper than beer.
I like beer. German beer is so good, yo. Let me tell you something, right? You gotta love a country that dedicates fests and carnivals to drinking.
Like Oktoberfest?
No. See, this is the thing. Oktoberfest, first of all, is in September, which a lot of people don't know. It's actually in September.
But it's in Germany, right?
Yes. But the thing about it is, this is the funny thing about that, right? In between all of that, there's all kinds of fests. Like in every town, they make their own beer.
Ooh.
So if you live in Darmstadt, you'll have Darmstadter beer. If you live in Frankfurt, you'll have Frankfurter beer. And then where I was in Mannheim. So Mannheim had their own beer too. But then close to them was Bad Dürkheim. And they used to have a Bad Dürkheim wine fest where it was all dedicated to wine. Oh my God. I know I lost 2 livers and about half my brain cells when I was in Germany. I know I did. Like, it's all smooth on this side.
If I would have been, I probably would have never left. I remember, because I was never a Budweiser person. And I remember I went with my daughter, we went on the cruise. And at that time, I had stopped drinking for 10 months. We were in St. Kitts. And I was like, this is so boring. Because my mistake was that I took a cruise going to another island. And that was my mistake. I'm coming from an island. You know, I'm in Puerto Rico. What are these islands going to offer me anyway? I can see the same thing in Puerto Rico. But I didn't think about it. I just wanted to get away. So I took my daughter. So in St. Kitts, I bought a Jamaican rum. And that tasted nasty, but I was not going to let $12 go down to waste. And then when we got to the last port, which was St. John's, I saw a boat. It was $1. I'm like, I want to taste this. Fuck the 10 months. So I went there and I took that Budweiser and I drank it. And to this day, I still have that taste in my brain on how that Budweiser tasted. And I never liked Budweiser. So think about it. Look at this. Whenever I have this is how I deal with what I had in the past on my alcoholism. Because I like to drink, you know, but my drinking became so much that I became an alcoholic, and I got stuck in that lifestyle for 25 years. Wow. So when I stopped, I was like, you know, how am I going to do with the new lifestyle? Because it's something new for me after so many years. So what I do is, because like I said, if I could drink my weekend and I could drink a beer or 2 or a 6-pack, I would love to do it because I like to drink. But I know that me drinking that one beer it might, I'm not gonna say it will, but it might take me back to where I was before. So
no, I agree with you.
You know, I have come a long way to lose 7 years. So this is what I do.
Right.
When I have that urge to drink, or to have myself a little beer, I think about that time when I was in St. John's.
Just smoke weed, you'll be fine.
I think about that. I think about that beer, and it just it smooths my brain, and that's it. You know, but
just smoke weed, you'll be all right.
Even the Budweiser and Heineken, they came out with non-alcoholic beer, and I'm like, I should try it, but like, nah, I don't want to try it because even if it doesn't have alcohol, the taste itself will bring back memories. And I don't want to start all over and like, nah. I know myself. Now I said to myself, if I ever go back to drinking, I'm going to stay there. But there's no point of me going back and forth. I'm going to stay sober for 7 years. go back, drink 2 or 3, and then start again. Start drink. Nah, I'll stay the way that I am, and I think my St. John members.
Well, congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
I applaud you.
Thank you.
Stanley says that he's a vegan. So Stanley, what I will say to you, Stanley, is this. Me and my husband are 2 fat pescatarians. And I'm going to tell you why. So I told you about my twins, right? The way we became pescatarians and stopped eating meat was because we wanted to help the Black community. And through the experiment, show that African diet is healthy than an American diet, specifically the plantation diet that Black people eat. It is a plantation diet and is a slave diet. Let's be clear about that. Right? But we are genies and we make everybody's wishes come true, but we can't free ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So trust me, Black people are the closest thing that you're going to get to a genie, but I digress. So we said, okay, we're going to stop. What's going on, Charles? We're going to stop eating meat and we're going to eat an African diet. And what happened was, to be totally honest, we gained more weight eating vegetarian, pescatarian than we did when we were eating meat. But I know why.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, trust me. Me and my husband made that happen. We gained more weight being pescatarians and eating fish than we did when we were eating meat. But anyway, vegan, I don't know if I'm ready to go vegan yet. But another reason why we stopped eating meat is because of pollution and the animal cruelty. That's why we stopped eating meat as well, because we didn't want to be a part of that ecosystem of that.
I need to die. I need to do at least 30 pounds, and I think I had to the same mentality that I use for drinking. I have to do it to do eating, because I am overweight and I need, that's my arthritis is killing me, and I have to do all these kind of stuff. So, I mean, if I don't know when my death is going to be, but if I can, in my mind, think that I can add 20 years to it, and I'm healthy, then that's what I'm going to have to do. Because it is true. We are one of the only countries, well, not the only, but this is the only country that doesn't regulate its processed food. Chicken now chickens are given hormones. You see a chicken with a leg this big. You see little steaks that are this thick. It's just antibiotics or all these steroids that they give these animals. It's not really good. And then the USDA don't do anything to regulate it the real way. And that's, to be honest with you, it's not real.
No.
And all those chemicals that you're putting inside your body, you don't even know.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing. We are looking at our young girls and young boys and wondering why at 10 years old, she's getting her period. Or at 10 years old, this girl is walking out the womb with TNA. Like, I'm here in Mississippi. Let me tell you something. I went to a school dance, and I'm 5'5", right? I went to a school dance, and I had to look up at the girls and boys there. You know what I'm saying? I had to be like, look, you need to stop running in here. Because it was so big. Like
America is an obese country. I went out with a girl, and I shit you not, her daughter was I think she like 1 or 2 years old, and she weighed close to 100 pounds. This girl had rows. I'm talking about 4 rows underneath her. And I was like, I'm not gonna say her name, but I was like, listen, why you give this girl everything she wants? Look how big she is. Even though the whole entire family was big, but you're putting this girl to a rigorous pain when she gets older. The bones, the body is structured to hold up a certain weight. If you go over that, then you're putting pressure on your bones, and one day it will give. You know, she's that now.
I agree.
I think the girl now, she's like 19, 20. She's still a big girl, but for a year and a half, 80 pounds, I was like, wow, that's a lot. She gave me everything. She wanted chips, she wanted hamburger, and not 1, 2, 3 at a time. Like, that's too much.
Well, you know what? Stanley said he lost 70 pounds. She lost 70 pounds. Okay, so Stanley, let me preface this by saying this. Congratulations, sir. I applaud you. But I was hungry for 24 years, sir. Okay. And when I got out the military, I was 150 pounds, right? But in order for me to stay at 150, 145 pounds, I literally had to starve myself. Okay. And once I got out the military, I was like, yo, I'm not doing the 2-a-days anymore. I'm eating those hamburgers. I'm eating those fries. I'm eating that milkshake, even though I am lactose intolerant.
Really?
I am doing
I would hate to be next to you then.
Huh?
I would have hated to be next to you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, this is what I'm gonna tell you, right? So, first of all, let's be clear about certain things. Black women shouldn't be drinking milk, cow's milk anyway. We're the only animal that drinks another animal's milk. Period. Okay? So that crap that they tell people at the USDA about drinking milk, first of all, Black women don't get osteoporosis. And we have a gene in us that cuts that off. We shouldn't be drinking milk. It's not that I'm lactose intolerant. You shouldn't be drinking it anyway. But I digress. Okay? But my favorite thing is a shake from Sonic's. I love banana shakes from Sonic's. But I tell you what, when I get that shake, yo, it's like, you remember the movie Alien?
Yes.
Remember the movie Alien? And remember how that shit came out of his chest?
Yes, like the movie The Thing.
That's how my stomach feel after I drink a milkshake.
Ooh.
And it's not just the regular, I have to use the bathroom. It's like, yo, my whole stomach is popping out like, woo! That's it. I'm not gonna have no stomach. No stomach.
But so you just, for a minute there, you're like, you know what? I don't care. I'll take the pain.
Yes, I don't care. I did it about 3 weeks ago. So I drank the milkshake, right? Let me tell you what happened. Like, I think God looks at me and he's like, you know what? She gonna be the person that fucked up and found out. Like, that's who I am. Fucked up and found out, right? So I was helping this older gentleman around, right? We stopped at Sonic's. I was like, man, I'm about to get me some. Look at what I ate now. Mozzarella sticks and a milkshake. Okay? So know that, exactly. So know that that's the wrong answer. Who's telling you they love you? What we doing? Who loving you? Who you loving? Okay. But so in the process of taking him around, it hit me when I was in the grocery store. Like, took my breath away. I was like, and I had to pause for the cause. Right? And in that moment, like, my stomach, like, that alien was like, I said, listen, yes. I said, listen, I need to throw up and I got to use the bathroom. He was like, are you okay? I was like, no, I am not okay. I came home and went to the bathroom, and it was like I had the garbage can on my face and I was using the bathroom. And I told my husband, I was like, tell him I can't take him home. Babe, take him home. He was like, are you serious? I was like, yes, I can't take him home. And I was laid up for like a day and a half after that.
Was it worth it?
But huh?
Was it worth it?
Oh, it was worth it. It was so worth it. I'll do it again. I haven't done it since then.
You know, you gotta.
And Stanley said he said most obese people are susceptible to COVID-19. I will say this, Stanley, you're going to have more obese people within the Black and the brown community because of systematic racism. One, because most urban areas, it is a food desert.
Fried chicken.
Not only that, but the access to certain things, not the access. There's no, in Brooklyn, you got the local bodega that's not having no fresh fruit and vegetables. Come on. We know that.
The ham and cheese.
Now
the Jamaican beef patty.
Yes.
But that you know why? Because they cater to what they know that Black and browns are going to eat. They know that Black and browns are not going to go to a supermarket and buy a salad or buy a tilapia or buy themselves a salmon. No, they prefer going to their local KFC, buying chicken, or McDonald's, buying a Big Mac or French fries. They know those
things. But it's cheaper though. But you got to remember, it's cheaper. It's cheaper.
You know,
so it's not. Yeah.
So they prefer doing that than doing something in the community. So you know what? Let's get these people healthy, because they know they're gonna say, if I open up a health food here, that's not gonna make money. But if I open up a junk food store here, that's gonna make money in the Black and brown community. We all know that. Do you stand to be honest with you? Do you see would you actually, if you go to a white community anywhere in America, would you actually see a KFC or would you see a Jack in the Box?
No. But this is the thing. The reason why. So you remember when Michelle Obama was trying to do the whole healthy food thing, right? And they laughed at her. And it was like, those kids don't want that food. You know why? Because you've trained them not to want fruit and vegetables. You've indoctrinated them to want Burger King and McDonald's and, all these kind of things. It wasn't that Michelle Obama was doing anything wrong. It was the fact that you have now trained these kids that eating broccoli is not the thing to do. And so Stanley also asked me, why do I torture myself like that? Stanley, just like Gio said, you only live once. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to die after eating a salad when I could have had a Big Mac. That's all I'm saying.
Man, you died eating the salad. Like, no.
Exactly. I died eating the salad. No.
You gotta live the way life, you gotta live your life the way it is. And then, you gotta eat healthy. That's true. You gotta be healthy. Eat the right way. Not because they're healthy, but eat the right way. Because I've known a lot of people who lift up weights, who do exercise, and they die of a heart attack. And you think, well, what happened? This man walks every day. He does training, but hey, he died of a heart attack. It is what it is. Your death, I believe. I know God put us. I know you're an atheist, but God put us here. And we have an expiring date. How we die is already predetermined. When we die is already predetermined. We just don't know how. We just don't know the when and the how. But in the meantime, as long as you live life safe and you live like not hurting nobody, and you're kind to other people, I think you're good.
My whole thing about it is like this: live your life on E, and have an ugly corpse. Because at the end of the day, I want to live, I want to experience everything. I want to try everything. And I always try things 3 times. Always.
That's what I do.
Always.
You know,
Because maybe I wasn't in the right.
I tell my, you know, I
Go
told
ahead.
people, and I tell my wife, because I have a plan. I told my wife, in 10 years, I'm 49. I'll be 50 in November. I want to retire when I'm 60. My brother says, well, no, you should work a little bit more until you're 65 or 70.
Why?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make another person rich. I'm doing that now because I have a house, because I want to pay off a house. But I want to be able to enjoy. If my life is to be 70 or 80 years old, I want to be able to enjoy those 10 years or those 20 years that I'm given, right? Because I saw my father when he died a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and he died at 70 years old. And in his deathbed, I looked at him and I went to him out of respect. And I saw him and I said to myself, 70 years old, and in 70 years old, this man, he gave us life, but he didn't do anything with life. He had no boss. He never traveled. All he knew was how to work. He was never a father. And I don't want to be like that. I want to enjoy life. I want to be able to enjoy it. You know, if I went, I tell people, if I go to Africa and they eat ants with spiders and they give it to me, I'm going to eat ants with spiders.
But you know what? You don't have to go to Africa to try that. You know where you can go? To Louisiana and try that.
Yeah,
They're good.
But listen, but that's not a Louisiana food. I want to eat. So if I go to Louisiana, I probably would eat something like crawfish, because that's the thing down there. So that's what I want to do.
Wait a minute.
So
Can I say
want something that's native? That's native.
Can I ask you something? First of all, I've been to Africa, and none of them was eating spiders and ants.
That was just the same.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is, you see what you just said? There's going to be a lot of people that, first of all, there's a lot of people that think that anyway, right? Because we've been conditioned to think of Africa as unsafe. We have thought of Africa as being, you see this thing behind me right here? That people are living in huts and all, but it's not like that. And that's why I stopped you. Because I
rephrase that. So if I went to Africa, I would like to eat their native food. So whatever it is, that's what I want.
Right, and that's not necessary.
Spiders that is not native to Louisiana, but if given to me, I would eat it because it's something new.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. A spider is eating spiders and ants is not native to Africa. Actually, it's native to South America, to be totally honest. You understand what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying, but it's not even native to Africa, to be totally honest. And so they're talking about losing 10 pounds, and Stanley is sitting here gloating about him losing weight. Nobody cares, Stanley. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, Stanley. But the thing about it is, Rizu said, I don't want to only eat salads. So Rizu, have you ever been to this place called Salad Station? I'm telling you, it's amazing. They probably don't have it in Canada, but Salad Station is amazing. We got a salad station here in Hattiesburg. Huh? Okay. So you want me to just take over your show? So what's up, y'all? It's your girl Anna from Black Lives Matter, Mississippi. And what we're talking about right now is bicultural, biracial relationships. We was talking about it, but we got off on tangents. And so Rizu, you're right. They have rice, jollof rice, spicy chicken. Like I said, I went to Cabo Verde. There was no spiders. There was no ants. And so that's why I wanted to make sure I corrected him, because fufu, Rizu, I love fufu and okra soup. My girlfriends, they were from Sierra Leone, and I had friends from Cameroon and Togo and Timbuktu. And I'm telling you, African food is amazing. I love it. And like I said, I was trying African food before it was quote unquote cool. And then, all these fools around here are talking about the fufu challenge and making fun of African food. And it was like, if you ate more African food, you would probably be healthier. You don't have a salad station out there? Okay. I'm telling you, you can make salads that are pretty awesome. You just got to make sure, like I had a salad and they had put all this cheese on it and croutons and all this other foolishness. But do you like seafood salad? And do you like fruit salads? Because you can make a salad out of anything, to be totally honest. But anyway, like I was saying, in the African food that I've always had was fufu, bitter green soup, and their pastry is lit, really. Their pastries are lit. But the thing about it, what I learned about in like European countries, the pastries that we have, like even our bread, I forget what country it was, but they listed Subway's bread as a pastry because it has so much sugar in it. I forget what country did that. But African food for me, like I said, and that's when I learned to eat fufu, and I learned to eat with my hands in a communal bowl. You did that?
Yeah, but I did that because when I moved to Florida, a friend of mine, I thought it was a friend, he had some Filipino guys live with him. So they were sitting on the floor in a circle, eating rice and meat, and then he used utensils. They used the fingers.
Yep.
I ate with my fingers, and then I ate the meat, and then they came in and said, "Yo, Gio, do you know what you used? I mean, you know what you just ate?" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You ate dog." I'm not lying to you. This is what he said. You ate dog, and I'm like, "Well, too late now. It's gone."
It's gone. Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. I didn't know the difference, but it was
exactly.
Good.
But this is the thing. This is the thing about dogs in different countries. They don't look at dogs the way we look at dogs. And let's be clear about America. America values dogs over black people. And I dare anybody to prove me wrong.
Let me put it this way. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I really don't care. But we take animals and we treat them more like a human. Did you know that if you took all those, because we eat chickens, and people don't realize that chicken don't shit. We eat pigs, we eat cows. So and if you go to these countries, that are poor, and you see the mass of dogs that are in the streets that are doing nothing. If you looked at them as you would a cow or chicken, you know how many people you can feed in the world?
I mean, for me, I look at it. She said Moroccans eat with their hands too. I was invited many times. I mean, this is the thing about what you're saying. We look at dogs again, and a lot of people, when I say that they value dogs over black and brown people, specifically black people, look at the settlements that families have gotten for dogs, and then look at the settlements or non-settlements that black families have gotten for dead people.
That's true.
Michael Vick, they had dog fighting at his house. He wasn't even there. Michael Vick went to jail. And they didn't even want him in the NFL, or they didn't even want him as a commentator because he had dog fighting at his house. But the person that killed Tamir Rice got a job right up the street in the next town.
The kid,
prove me wrong.
Rittenhouse, the young kid who killed those two people in Kansas, he crossed the line. and he got bail, and he's going around walking. It's just amazing. It just amazes you. You know, when people try to compare one thing with the other, when these white people, and I want to say this again, I don't care, they don't like me. When they compare the march in the summertime to the riots that happened in January, and they want to say that Black Lives Matter did this and they did that and nothing happened, and to compare it to January 6th that it was nothing, and they want to say that they did this, to compare those two together, that's very ignorant, saying that the Black Lives Matter did this and we did that, we burned this, but no one said nothing. But no, those are those are two different things. Okay, in January we were fighting for what? For rights, for human rights, for human dignity. Okay, that's a big difference comparing to fighting for a stupid man that says the election was stolen when there's no proof of it. So
you mean they had a temper tantrum? They had a temper tantrum. They had a temper tantrum. That's what that was.
And sometimes, like you said earlier before, like you said earlier on, sometimes protesting peacefully, it's only going to get you so much. That sometimes you have to, unfortunately, use violence. I'm sorry. You don't have to kill nobody.
No, don't be sorry. Well, this is the thing. See, you remember we talked about the Bible and all those things, right? Nobody wants to talk about how America became America. Nobody wants to talk about how Australia became Australia. Nobody wants to talk about how Tasmania has no living ancestral Tasmanians anymore. Nobody wants to talk about how Europe got so rich and is still getting rich. Nobody wants to talk about why Haiti is poor. They don't want to talk about the division between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And they live on the same island of Hispaniola.
I was going to do it. I'm still going to do a piece on Haiti and Dominican Republic as to I don't understand, and because if you go to the Dominican Republic and you see a Haitian person working in the Dominican Republic, Dominicans hate the Haitians.
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with them, but yet they share the same land. You know, and you think about it. If you think about it, if those two countries that share the same land, if they share the same ideas and they share the same resources together, they'll be unstoppable because they got things that other countries. They got beaches, they got resorts, they got food, they even got more than Puerto Rico because they can export and they can import. Puerto Rico doesn't have that luxury that they can import because of the Jones Act. But they can have that, but yet they don't do that. And I just don't understand. You have your countrymen that's next to you and they're starving. Why don't you open up the borders and help them out? You know what?
It's called white supremacy.
Let's get together and do something, but they don't do it. They think, but they just want to do things the wrong way. It's the same way. It's the same way. It's just the way I tell people. They're okay with us going to Iraq, to Afghanistan, to all these countries to protect them, but they're not okay with going. Why doesn't the United States go to Congo and rescue all those people who are being murdered, like women being raped, women being murdered for the diamonds? Because why? Because it doesn't have any money for the United States. They have nothing to gain. So if they got nothing to gain, why are they going to join? That's what they should be fighting for. When they go to Iraq, or this is what I'm thinking. When they go to Iraq, when they go to Afghanistan, they're not fighting they're fighting because there's oil. There's something in their interest. So that's their interest. That's what they're going to fight for. Africa has nothing to offer the United States, so they speak, so they say. So why even bother? The same thing with Venezuela. If Maduro is such an asshole, which he is, why don't you support the coup to take his ass out? Well, those people are starving in Venezuela. Why don't you do that? Because why? Because it doesn't benefit the United States.
Can I say this to you? This is what I'm going to say to you. First of all, if the United States, first of all, the United States is already in Africa. The second thing about it is they've already stolen everything, okay? And it's in already an established colonialism there, okay? They've already got Africa on lock.
It's the same way I found out
But you got to understand.
that what is it? Is it Kenya? The Kenya gives money to the French government.
No. Most colonies in Africa, what it is that they have to store their money in French banks. And they have to have 85% of their money in French banks.
But why?
And they can own their army, because what they did was, I forget what it was called. It was a plan. I'm going to show you what the African ambassador said about that. But basically, it was a contract and said, okay, if you don't put your money in these banks, we're going to attack you. Same thing that they did to Haiti. Same exact thing. And America was a part of that. So now you have to store 85% of your money in these French banks, right? Now, when you take the money out, it's a loan.
Oh, really?
It's not your money. And the interest that is made off of your money doesn't go to you. It goes to France.
Yeah, that part I didn't know.
Yes.
You're basically working.
Yes, I'm gonna send, and I'm gonna send you receipts. I'm sorry.
You're basically working for France.
Yeah, and so what happens is that, like she said, when they have these regime changes, it's not Africa doing it, it's other countries like Europe and America sending people in there to do these things, just like Haiti and Venezuela. America sent mercenaries in there to do a coup. Just recently in Venezuela. You know that, right?
Well,
but they caught him.
They got that guy, but they still, Maduro still doesn't want to leave.
Right. But what I'm saying is they tried to kill him as well. American mercenaries tried to kill him, but they ended up getting caught.
Weren't very smart.
No, and in Haiti, I think it was either 2019 or 2020, they did the same thing and had mercenaries in there, and they got found out. I'm gonna send you I always give you receipts.
I know.
So I'll send it to you. But I have to go because we hitting 2 hours, and I have a protest in the morning.
All right, you do the protest.
You want me to tell you what the protest is for?
With that Snoop Doggy Dogg one.
Hey,
Snoop Dogg.
19 crimes, baby.
19 crimes.
Snoop Dogg.
Send me the 19 crimes because I would like to read them that.
Okay, so what I was going to tell you what my protest is about, what our protest is about, is that a couple went into a convenience store, a grocery store called Frogels. Frogels, Frogels. And they were told, what happened was the man in a couple, he was ordering meat, and they was trying to give him old meat, and he was like, I don't want that. And the person that was doing it said, don't worry about them. They just bring N-word crumbs in here anyway. These N-words always complaining.
Wow.
Now I'm using N-word, but you know what I'm saying.
I know.
And so the grocery store called the cops on the black people. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to a protest tomorrow about that, but I'm going to send you all the receipts about the the African countries are sending their money to France. And the fact of the matter is that she was fired is the AU ambassador to the US. She was fired because of what she said. And I'm going to send that to you. And the fact of the matter is they didn't like what she said at all.
You know what?
Because
If
she was telling it.
the white people don't like what you say, they'll find anything and everything to get you fired, thrown out,
Yeah.
or whatever they can do. It has to be their directive. It has to be their narrative.
Yes. And France basically, when because you know the reason why Haiti is poor is because they were paying France reparations. Did you know that?
They were paying France reparations for what?
Yes. For loss of property. What do you think the property was, baby?
I know it's called the Port of Prince for the French. I know that, but reparation
For what? What do you think the loss of property was, baby?
Damn.
The black people that they enslaved. And
That was
guess
for
what?
them. The reparations should go to them, if anything.
No. The Haiti was paying the French reparations because Haiti fought for their freedom and won. So America and Europe had ships off of Hispaniola and said, if you don't pay France reparations, we're going to attack you.
Wow.
Did you know here, after the Civil War, white slave owners were given reparations? Did you know that?
White slave owners were given reparations for, again.
Yes. See, that's the thing. That's why they say knowledge is power. White slave owners were given reparations.
But I don't even know how that goes.
They said, hey, look here. We don't have any slaves anymore. We paid for them. We want our money. So versus giving the newly freed slaves the 40 acres and a mule that they were promised, they paid reparations to white slave owner. I ain't even got to lie to you. Do you know they listen, Haiti was the richest and most productive European colony in the world going into the 1800s. In 1838, France agreed to reduce the debt to 90 million francs to be paid over a period of 30 years to compensate former plantation owners who had lost their property. The 2004 equivalent was $21 billion.
And you better kiss my ass. I don't want to pay you reparations, you French bastard.
Yeah, I'm about to send it to you right now. And I'm also about to send you about the white slave owners that were paid reparations. But I have to bid y'all good night so I can spend
Thank you for the
husband.
history lesson. Thank you for sharing. Let me know how tomorrow goes.
Call on me anytime.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye.